I lay in the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling as the fluorescent lights buzzed softly above me. My arm was wrapped tightly in a cast, my head still aching from the concussion. The room smelled of antiseptic, a cold, clinical scent that only made me feel more alone. The rhythmic beeping of the machines was the only sound keeping me company. I kept hoping the door would swing open and my mother would walk in, telling me she had changed her mind, that she wouldn't leave me here alone. But deep down, I already knew the truth. She had chosen Kevin. Again. Hours earlier, Kevin had stood at the foot of my hospital bed, arms crossed, sighing dramatically as if my injuries were some sort of inconvenience to him. My mother had hesitated, her eyes darting between me and Kevin, her fingers twisting the hem of her blouse. I had pleaded with her, my voice cracking. "Mom, please don't leave me," Kevin scoffed. "You're 15, not 5. Hospitals are safe, and the nurses are here 24/7. You'll be fine." But it wasn't about being safe. It was about knowing that someone who loved me was there. And just like that, she kissed my forehead lightly and walked out with him, leaving me in that sterile, lonely room. The tears came silently. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood, but I refused to sob out loud. I wasn't going to give Kevin the satisfaction of knowing how much he had broken me. But I wasn't alone for long. A nurse noticed my tears and gently touched my shoulder. "Sweetheart, do you have someone else we can call for you?" For the first time in a long time, I had to make a choice for myself. I took a shaky breath and gave her my father's number. My parents' marriage had never been a happy one. They argued constantly over money, responsibilities, even the smallest things like who left the lights on. When they finally divorced 3 years ago, I wasn't surprised. If anything, I was relieved. The arrangement was supposed to be fair, shared custody. 1 week with Dad, 1 week with Mom. But life with Mom was different. She wasn't the type to pack lunches or check homework. Instead, she was glued to her phone, constantly trying to grow her social media following. She called herself a beauty influencer, but with barely a few thousand followers, it was more of an obsession than a career. When she wasn't taking selfies or filming makeup tutorials, she was out shopping, getting her nails done, or having brunch with friends, always spending my father's alimony money like it was endless. Then Kevin came along. Kevin wasn't just bad. He was a walking storm, wrecking everything in his path. Controlling, critical, and full of opinions nobody asked for. He made it clear from the start that he expected me to treat him as my new father. But Kevin was no replacement for my real dad. He wasn't even close. He had 2 sons from a previous marriage, and while he let them do whatever they pleased, I was constantly under scrutiny. He hated when I wore skirts, calling them too revealing. He demanded that I always keep my hair in a bun, as if even my hair needed to be under his control. If I had friends over, he'd hover in the background, pretending to check in, but really just making sure I had no privacy. When I told my mom how uncomfortable it made me, she dismissed it with a wave of her hand. "He's just being protective," she'd say. "No, Mom. He was being a control freak. The trip was supposed to be a fresh start." At least, that's what Kevin said. He had just been promoted and planned a vacation for all of us. I was actually excited. Maybe, just maybe, things could be different. But the day before we were supposed to leave, my mother and I were in a car accident. One moment we were driving home from shopping for the trip, and the next, a loud crash sent us spinning. My head slammed against the window. Pain exploded through my arm. Everything blurred. At the hospital, the doctors confirmed I had a concussion and a broken arm. I needed to stay for observation. When Kevin arrived, his first words weren't, "Are you okay?" They were. "So, does this mean we're canceling the trip?" I wanted to scream. When the doctors said I couldn't travel, Kevin turned to my mother. "Well, we already paid for the tickets. No point in wasting money." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was injured. I needed my mom. And yet, an hour later, she walked out of that hospital with Kevin and his sons, leaving me behind. The nurse dialed my father's number, and for the first time in years, I heard true concern in someone's voice. "What do you mean she's alone?" Dad's voice was sharp with anger. "Where is her mother?" I told him everything. How Kevin convinced Mom to leave, how they chose their vacation over me. Silence. Then, a quiet but furious, "I'm coming." 2 hours later, Dad burst through the hospital doors. The second I saw him, I broke down. He held me tightly, whispering, "I'm here, I've got you." And just like that, I wasn't alone anymore. When Dad found out my mother had downplayed my injuries to him, he was livid. He reported her and Kevin to Child Protective Services. A few days later, CPS called my mother in for questioning. She was furious. "You told them?" she hissed over the phone. "She begged me to lie, to say that I had exaggerated everything. She warned me that if I didn't, CPS might take me away from her permanently. I didn't care. I told the truth. It's been 4 months since I left. 4 months of peace. 4 months of feeling safe. I live with Dad now. He listens to me, respects me, and treats me like a human being, not an inconvenience. I've made new friends, focused on school, and even celebrated my birthday properly for the first time in years. Mom texts me sometimes saying she misses me. Kevin never reached out. I don't miss him either. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I belong, and I'm never going back. If you've ever felt unseen or unheard, remember this. You deserve love. You deserve to be protected. And sometimes, walking away from the people who hurt you is the bravest thing you can do. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more real-life stories. Thank you for listening.